Great. So once again, I welcome everyone to this section on a chat with Chevening scholars. Today we have two scholars here in the person of Nnamdi Orji and Ijeoma. So we will be hearing from Nnamdi Orji. I welcome Nnamdi Orji to introduce himself and give us an overview of Chevening Scholarship. Thank you, Nnamdi Orji. You can unmute yourself.
All right, thank you very much, Christopher. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you, please go ahead.
All right,
awesome. Go ahead, please.
Awesome. Thank you very much. My name is Nnamdi Tamuno Orji. I'm Nigerian. I don't know those who would be on this call where they are from, but I'm Nigerian, and I got the Chevening Scholarship for the 2022 and 2023 session to study advanced digital energy systems at the Cranfield University in the UK. Okay, so what's the Chevening Scholarship Award all about? So Chevening gives two kinds of awards. There's the scholarship awards and then there's the fellowship. So for master's degree programs, the Chevening gives the scholarship awards to different countries. Most of the information, I must say, about the Chevening Scholarship comes from the chevening.org website. Several countries in the world, over 160 countries, are able to apply for the Chevening scholarships every year. So it's very competitive. And Nigeria has, over recent years, been one of the highest number of people coming into the Chevening Scholarship Awards. I don't know if it's owing due to our large population or basically just the number of applications they get from Nigeria. I think last year or this year, Nigeria had the highest number of applications for the Chevening Scholarship Award. So it's very competitive here in Nigeria. And well, by the time you get it, you now come to say, oh, maybe it's easy, but it's never easy. I have applied like twice before I got the scholarship. So I'm just going to give a rundown of what it takes, what is required for you to apply to the Chevening Scholarship. So for Chevening scholarships, you need to have 2 years work experience, inclusive of internships and volunteer work that you can account for with an organization can also count for you as work experience. So once you have 2 years work experience, you have your BSc and basically the other requirements will now be depending on the school you are applying to. So Chevening has partner schools all on their website, where you can check the website for. Once you click on scholarships, application guidance, then you will be able to see the different schools that are open to Chevening scholarships. So the first thing you have to do is to decide to yourself, what do I want to study? What do I want to study? In choosing what you want to study, it's important that you check your background, check where you're coming from, check what you've been able to do over the years, and check what you want to do in the coming years, because deciding what you want to study will be very critical to what you'd write in your essays. So for instance, you don't want to decide to study law when you're coming from an engineering background and you have done nothing in law, right? Chevening is not a means for you to change your career path. It's supposed to help you grow skills that will assist you to develop your home country. So like I was telling somebody the other day, Chevening is a leadership oriented scholarship. So they are looking for a whole lot of leadership potentials. They're looking to raise leaders who would come back to their countries and impact their countries in different areas of development. Again, it's not also a JAPA. It's not also a JAPA route, right? So most Nigerians, young Nigerians these days, are looking for scholarship as a means to relocate to other countries. It's not exactly a JAPA route because when we got our offers and we read through carefully the clause that states you must come back to your country after the scholarship award was written in bold. So you must come back to your country after your studies for 1 year. You must return to your country. So it's not a JAPA route, as you won't be allowed to stay in the UK after your studies. They will quickly book your flight for you to come back, and they'll make sure you're on that flight. Otherwise, once your visa expires, you won't be able to stay in the UK anymore. They'll chase you back. Okay, so it's not a JAPA route, it's a leadership-oriented scholarship that is aimed at helping you develop skills towards a particular area of development that you will tell the Chevening panel that you have noticed in your country, and you have the right skills, you have the right connections, you have the right networks to bring it to life, and you just need to study so and so course in the UK for it to happen. Okay, so that's about the Chevening scholarships. And I was talking about the applications before I deviated. You would need the work experience. You need to write 4 essays, one being on leadership. You have to tell a story about your leadership journey and how you've gotten to the point where you now need to go on that studies to help you achieve what you want to achieve. You need to talk about your networking. How much networks have you been able to build, and how much impact have you been able to foster with those networks? You also have to write an essay on your career plan. The career plan essay is, I'm going to say, is the most important because that's where you get to tell them what you hope to do with the new knowledge you're going to gain when you go to study in the UK. And then you also write an essay about your studies in the UK. So the schools you pick, because you pick 3 schools, you pick 3 schools during your application. So one of the first things you also have to do after deciding the course you want to study, you now need to go and look for 3 schools that offer that course or something similar, and apply to them. It's not that you can't do something different from that particular course. Not like you can't apply to different courses in different schools, but it's always advisable you apply to the same course or similar course in the 3 different schools, because you don't want to now be looking like you're confused on what exactly you want to do. So you have to apply to 3 schools. So the fourth essay is about those schools. Why do you want to study in the UK, and what is it in those schools and the courses you're going to study in those schools that makes you feel like they are the best choice for you? Okay, so those 4 essays, you need 2 references. You need 2 people as references who you're going to put their details in the applications, and you submit references from them. I think that's basically it about Chevening. It's a 1-year scholarship, tenable in the UK. You go study in the UK for 1 year and come back. It's fully funded. They fund as much as even your visa and your flights to and fro, and then they give a stipend, pay your school fees, and all that. So I think that's much of an overview. I think any other thing I have not covered, the other scholar or in the question session will cover them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nnamdi Orji. That was a very well summarized briefing, a very well summarized overview that you have given to us about Chevening Scholarship. Like I said, after your section, we're going to hear from Ijeoma Omenugha, and then we'll go to the question and answer session, which I believe everyone is looking forward to, because that will be where we're going to be having more focused questions. Thank you once again. So I welcome Ijeoma Omenugha to introduce herself and just add one or two things to what Nnamdi Orji has said. Thank you very much. You can unmute yourself. Ijeoma Omenugha, you can unmute yourself. We cannot hear you if you're speaking. We cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's actually my earpiece that was faulty. Good evening, everyone.
Welcome.
I am Ijeoma Omenugha. I am going to be studying Global Public Health and Policy at Queen Mary University of London come September. So I don't know if there's any other thing.
Okay, you heard what Nnamdi said, right?
Yes.
You want to add anything to what he said? He just gave us an overview. You want to, in the next 2-3 minutes, you want to add anything else? We will just move to the question and answer section. Then you and Nnamdi can now help us to answer the questions as they come.
Okay, I think he has pretty much touched every aspect of the application process. I would just highlight the aspect of navigating through the website. Already, some people are already finding it difficult to navigate through the website. They are mistakenly submitting applications that they haven't finished filling. You know, that's a problem that people do have. When you are on the website, at the lower part of your each page, you would see submit, save. Don't make the mistake of your hand touching the submit when you are still filling the forms, because you can only submit one application in a year. And if you make that mistake, you can imagine that you've lost out even before starting the application. So as much as possible, and even during the application process, when you have gotten in, don't try to like refresh the website so often, because you may just click on withdraw button and you would withdraw your application. Okay, and then also try to write down your password. These things are very important, because I know that these are issues that people were having. At some point when they got shortlisted for the interview, they found out that they could not even remember their password again, because probably they were not expecting to be shortlisted. So as soon as you log in, just try to write down your password so that you won't have that issue, and make sure that the email you are going to be using is something that is easily accessible to your phone, so that you can also always be updated. Then, like Nnamdi has said, Chevening is actually looking for leaders. So it's very simple. I would advise that we go through the questions very well, like line by line. I actually wanted to read out the questions here, but because of time, I would advise that before you start your essays, try to read the question. Sometimes when you are even reading the question, the inspiration of what they are asking can just come. Read the questions line by line, that they are looking for future leaders and influencers in their home country, that you should explain how you meet these requirements with clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills. And they are most likely, they are actually looking for examples from your professional field. I know that if you don't have so much of professional experience, you can still bring in school examples or church group or whatever leadership, but you would have to list out all your leadership qualities and then pick out the one that will fly for Chevening, because it's a competition now. So you have to like bring out the best, and if you have more of professional examples, it will fly better. And I also want us to remember our STAR approach. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that here now, but I just feel the need to, because I've gotten a lot of comments recently within the last 2 days about how to navigate through the Chevening essays. And I feel like it's the same way to write, it's the same way we write other scholarship essays. We use the STAR approach, the situation, task, action, and result approach. So if you are to give an example for the leadership essay, for instance, I would advise you give at least 3 examples and above. 3 to 4 is fine. You may want to give 5, but remember you just have 500 word limit. So don't give 2 examples. Some people may just want to give 2 and elaborate on the 2. It may not show everything about your leadership skills. If you can give 3 to 4 examples, so each of those examples you pick one, and then you use the STAR approach to break it down. And I've told us the meaning of STAR approach. So for instance, if I want to bring this home now, using my own personal example, I want to talk about an example of where I show the leadership quality using the STAR approach. I can say something like, maybe when I wanted to talk about an outreach that I did, or in my place of work that helped pregnant women to start getting good results. The situation was that I noticed that pregnant women that were coming to the hospital at the time were having eclampsia. Most of them, whenever I'm on call, I would get, if I have 7 patients, I would get like 6 coming down with eclampsia. Eclampsia is like a complication of pregnancy due to hypertension. So I got worried and I was like, why are these people coming down with hypertension? So when I surveyed, I found out that some of the villagers were taking some medication, some herbal concoctions and some things, that had potential effect on their health. So this was like the situation. So for this example that I want to give now, I would just like summarize what I've just said at the beginning part of the essay, and then talk about the task. So what was now my responsibility? So I felt the need to talk to them about this thing, health education, just try to talk to them, demystify a misconception that they held about their health, which was affecting them. So this was like the task. Then the action, what did I now do? After I found out, okay, this is the problem, this is what I want to do. The action here was that I had to mobilize people. I had to write letters. I had to, plan for outreach, for people to come and let's have an outreach. So this was like the action. And then the result was that at the end of the day, pregnant women were no longer coming down with eclampsia or whatever it is that is your example. So this is something that is actually relatable. It's not something that you just speak from anywhere. You can just sit down. For Chevening application, I would tell people that it's better for you to take like 2 days to 1 week to actually have an introspection about what you really want, what your area of impact is. Sorry, is there any problem? Can I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I was saying that it's good for you to take your time and maybe take like a day or 2 or even a week to think about what exactly you want to do. The area of impact you have, if you are in health sector, if you are in energy sector, just like just think about what exactly you are bringing to the table, because it's all about you bringing what you have to Chevening, like selling your dream to them, and then they would see that, oh, okay, we can fund this one. Let's pick this person and fund the person, because they are spending a lot of money on you. So they don't just want to fund anything that will not pay them as well. So you would have to, when that revelation comes, I used to tell people that when that revelation of what exactly you want to do comes, you will write your essay easily. You will write your essay. So the best thing is to understand what you really want to give back to the society, because it's all about community development. It's not really about your first class for Chevening. It's all about you demonstrating that you've been able to help people and make their lives better. So you should now know that whatever example I'm giving should be example that has to do with how I was to influence people's lives positively. That is basically what the leadership is asking you of. So if you're able to get this revelation, you can begin to write your essays. So that's for the leadership essay. And also, I think it would also go for all other essays. You're also going to be writing on networking. Networking essay, you are expected to also give professional examples from your professional field. It's not a time for you to start saying how you met somebody. Well, some people use that example, but if you have more professional examples, for instance, if you have, like, you are able to leverage on a professional network to make a positive change in your environment. So now it's boiling down to positive change again. Maybe, for instance, okay, I can say that me now, I'm a doctor. and I want to organize an outreach. Because of the fact that I belong to a community of doctors, when I came, I started working, I identified with other group of doctors because I am a doctor, and I knew that they were going to help me when I want to do my outreach. So, I identified with these doctors. I maintained network with them. I kind of started creating my network, having network in different parts of the countries with fellow health professionals. And when it's time for me to do a program, it's going to be easy for them to come to help me. So it's just like building a professional network that you eventually use to make a positive change. It could be for yourself, because I know there was a time I gave an example of how I met somebody who helped me to get a placement for work. I met somebody in a conference, and at the end of the day, I called him, and he happened to know somebody who was supposed to give me this work, and the person gave me the work. So it's still an example of networking, but I would want us to bring in more from a professional angle. Then when you've exhausted your professional examples, you can now maybe chip in more of a personal example. Remember, 3 to 4 examples for each of the essays we do. Then the study in the UK essay is just basically asking you to say why it has to be UK. So that's where you have to do your studies. You have to really do your studies there. Why it has to be your course and why it has to be the UK. Someone was asking me recently that it's as if they fund some courses and they don't fund some courses. Personally, I don't think it's true. I think if you're able to prove that your course is relevant and that it relates to what the UK is doing in your country, that's another thing you'd have to read. You'd have to go online and research about the course you want to apply for and see what the UK is doing in your country in that sector. Then you bring it into your essay. Like, these are the things that you bring that will make your essay irresistible, because at this beginning time now is the essays that they are using to judge. 90% is the essays. So they would, and they are reading a large number of essays. You don't want them to just look at your own and fling it. You have to really, create an impression or something that will make them to even finish the essays. They get a lot of applications. They get a whole lot of applications. One person can be reading 100 essays in a day, and you don't expect the person to just sit down and be reading boring essays. You have to put things, especially in the first 2 lines of your essays, especially that leadership essay, because I think that's the first one that they would read that would determine whether they will go to your networking essay. I don't know, but that leadership essay, make sure that the first 2-3 lines are catchy. It's not something that you now come and start defining leadership or start giving one quote about leadership. You have to okay, for instance, let me use an example of how I started my own, if I can remember. I said something about, for me, a leader is somebody who is able to leverage on professional network to make a change. I'm not sure of the right word I used again, but that my ability to provide timely intervention has saved over 1,000 pregnant women from maternal mortality. This was like the beginning. Then I now went into, when I came, and I started explaining like how I did that. So if you pick up my essay and you just want to fling it, by the time you read it, you want to say, how did this girl do this? She said that she was able to do something that have saved over 1,000 pregnant women from maternal mortality. How? And you now want to read the essay down. So just try to bring in something, a very strong beginning statement, especially for that leadership essay, and even on all the essays that would, make it possible for them to read your essays, because it's even possible that they may not read all the essays, because applications they get each year are usually so much. So these are things that will make your essays stand out. Then for the last essay, career plan, of course, you would also remember to divide it into your immediate, I used to divide my own into 3, immediate, 5 years later, and 10 years later, just to make it flow. And it should be something that is relatable. You will not come and be telling Chevening that you are expecting that in the next 5 years, you'll be the Minister for Health. It doesn't make sense. Something that can also flow with the years that you have put in there, okay? And I believe that I've been able to, I'm actually emphasizing on these essays because that is what will determine if your application will be progressed to the next stage. And this is also where they screen out a whole lot of people. For instance, if they have 8,000 applicants from a country and they just shortlist like 150 people or 170 people, it's because of the essays. So this is the essays are more like the most important aspect of this application at this time. And also to add to what the first speaker said, don't allow yourself to be disqualified for, flimsy reasons. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it to allow yourself to be disqualified. Maybe you don't fill in your name well, or you don't fill in your work well, or the number of hours. Just make sure that they don't, because at the beginning, as soon as you all submit your application this November, by December, they will send the first regret email. Those that have been disqualified, they will send it immediately. They won't even review your application. And those disqualification could be from not spelling your name well, or putting in details that don't tally, or your international passport, or anything, that does not just work with the website. So it's important that you would have read all the criteria for applying, and make sure that you meet up to the criteria, so that you will not be wasting your time, because they will screen out applications that don't meet up to the standard before they even begin to read the essays. I think I have actually gone through most of the things I wanted. Then I have some myths and misconceptions, but maybe when we get to the question and answer section, I would also talk about that more. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ijeoma. That was also a very information-packed overview. So without wasting our time, we're going to go to the question and answer section straight. Again, just to let us know that this event is hosted by Academic Mentorship Cafe. We have shared our link to our YouTube channel where we will post the recordings. So I will share my screen and allow one of our volunteers, Husseina, to take charge of the question and answer sections. So I will share my screen for the Slido. We are using a platform called Slido to ask our questions, so that we organize the section very well. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. That's fine. So, Husseina.
Yes, Prof, I'm here, sir.
Up to you.
All right, sir. Thank you, everyone. So we start from the first question, which was given 2 days ago. How do I respond to the question, is there anything else you'd like to add during a Chevening interview?
So the way we will go, Nnamdi will answer, then Ijeoma will come in. The next round, Ijeoma will answer, Nnamdi will come in. So let's just be brief with the answers. Yeah.
Okay, so please, Mr. Nnamdi, are you there? Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, sir. So this person is asking that during the interview, that's maybe after the whole shortlisting has been done and the person is picked, and there's a question, is there anything else you'd like to add? How do you respond to this kind of question, sir?
Okay, first of I think this person is moving very fast. Interviews will still come by next year if you get shortlisted. But to just answer it, I mean, preparation can't be too early. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I think when you get such question, you should pause, think through all you've said already as fast as possible, and then ask yourself if there's anything you had planned to tell the panel during your interview, and that will be the time to say it. I've been in several interviews, and one thing that always happens in these interviews is you have a lot of things you want to tell the panel. You've planned a lot of catch points and selling points you wanted to talk about, but maybe the way the questions went through during the interview, you didn't have the opportunity to say those things. If you get to this point where they ask, is there anything else you'd like to add? Like I said, pause, think through what you've said, and don't be in a hurry. Think of those things you wanted to say that you have not said, and then go ahead and then say it. If there's anything in your application that you wanted to clarify, you would like to give a better understanding on, you would go ahead and also add it here. If you also have a question, normally they will ask you if you have questions, you can also go ahead and ask those questions here. So I don't know if Ijeoma has any other thing to add here, but that's my view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just to add, some people would say that you should just prepare a question for them. I mean, I think it's logical if you have a question in mind, because they will definitely ask, is there any other thing you want to do? Me, personally, I prepared my question and I was ready for them at the end, so that once you ask me, is there any other thing you want to say, I'll ask my question, okay? So I think it's also important that you should prepare, something reasonable. Don't go and ask one off-point question. Like, just something, just prepare. When you're preparing for your interview, you will know what to ask, but just have a question that, an intelligent question about Chevening. It could just be anything about Chevening. For me, I asked about the alumni wing because I realized that Chevening, they like alumni a lot. They like that community, that networking community. So I kind of asked the question about the alumni wing and what they are doing and what they are not doing. And they replied me and they were so happy. So I think you could also prepare a question for them. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Nnamdi. All right, moving on to the second question. Do I apply for the universities before I submit my Chevening Scholarship application? That's the second question. Dr. Ijeoma, please.
Okay, yeah, for this question, you would have to apply concurrently. As you're submitting your scholarship application, you are applying to schools immediately. Schools are open now for next year. So you could apply. Someone like me that started preparing way ahead, I had even applied to schools. I applied to so many schools, but I made sure that the 3 schools I wrote down in my essay were also part of the schools I applied to. I would advise you apply to as much schools as possible, because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose your scholarship because you couldn't secure admission. And UK universities are one of the easiest universities to secure, easiest country to secure admission from. So you don't just want to lose a whole Chevening scholarship because you couldn't secure admission. So you can apply to as much as 5, 6, 7 schools. I applied to 7 and I got all their admissions. So at the end of the day, I was one that I would now choose. And then I had written 3 in my Chevening essay, because you would have to write 3 schools that you really want to go to. But I applied to more than that. And then because I started preparing early enough, I had all the time to now I'd submitted to the school. So when the portal opened for Chevening, I just put my application and submitted for Chevening. That was it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor. Mr. Nnamdi, please, is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
Yeah. So Dr. Ijeoma is a very early bird. For me, I didn't get to apply to schools till I got shortlisted. Why did I do that? Okay, so I was still recovering from the rejection of the first time I applied. So when I applied to Chevening the first time, I went ahead, I applied to all the schools. I didn't even get shortlisted. So all those applications were just haunting me. And so I told myself, I'm going to check the application timelines for these schools, which is very important. Every school differs. If you wait for the shortlist before you apply, some schools, and depending on your course, may fill up fast. But luckily, the courses I was applying to were open up till June, July this year. So I applied to them in March. Okay, so I applied to them in March and they responded quite quickly. I think 2 out of the 3 responded by the next month. So it's about you following what works best for you, and then for the schools. If you know that once you get shortlisted, you can immediately put in your application. But don't forget, the school applications also have their own requirements. So make sure you go through those requirements, ensure you have everything ready. And if you can put in the application immediately, put it in. It doesn't hurt you. So I was just sharing my own experience, but you can put in your application as early as possible. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I guess that's different strokes for different folks. So the idea is to never give up. So don't allow fears. Let's just go ahead. So the next question is, does the university or program I choose matters? Looking at the school going to now, or the program I'm going for, does it matter whichever one, whichever school I choose or whichever program I'm going for? Is there a preference to the schools or to the programs I should go for? Mr. Nnamdi, please. Go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you. For this, whether it matters is a very, will I say, vague or wide question. So matters in what sense? But let me just try to answer this. University or program, yes, definitely matters. In what sense? Like I mentioned earlier, your essays, your leadership abilities, what you want to achieve, everything must tie together. Everything must be telling a particular story. So you don't want to choose a program that is off point from what you have written in your essays. So you have to choose a program that is in tandem with what you're writing your essays, what you believe you want to achieve. And then it also matters in terms of, so for instance, there's a cap to the MBAs that can be funded by this scholarship. So MBAs all over the world are known to be quite expensive. So if you pick an MBA that's over, I think, £22,500, you may have to pay the balance. So in certain respects, the program and the university choices matters, but it's a very wide spectrum. The scholarship covers a lot of courses and a lot of universities. So I don't think we'll have a problem finding a good course at a good university. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Doctor, please, are you still there? Are you
Yes,
there, ma?
I'm here. Yes.
All right, ma. So please, let's hear your view
Yeah.
on this, ma.
Okay, I think it's the same thing. Just make sure you choose courses that are within the Chevening partner universities. You would see it on their website. They have partner universities. I think they share the burden of this scholarship. You know, if you choose a school that is not partnering with Chevening, I don't know if it reduces your chances. Some people have said it does, while some people said no, but I think it's safer. It will be easier for you. There are so many schools that are within the Chevening partner universities you can choose from, and there are so many courses. If you go to the website, you just type in your course, you just navigate through the website. And that thing I forgot to say is that please make that website your notebook. For those of us that like reading, just to read that website, you'll find out that you see things that you never knew existed that would help you with your application. You know, just go through the website so well before you even start applying. And along the line, you would see where they will ask you to input your course. The Chevening partner universities will show up. That was where I went to. And then when I saw the partner schools that were doing my courses, I went online and I checked for the ones that will not ask me to pay for application fees. So I cannot be applying to 7 schools and be paying for application fees. So I first of all filtered the schools that are doing my course from the partner universities, and then I put them on Google to see if they have application fees. From there, I picked the ones that don't have application fees and I applied. That was how I did it. Thank you.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much. But please, ma, just to chip in, like nowadays, a lot of people are switching to say data science. So is there maybe like some courses that are more important compared to others? Maybe that's why this person is asking this kind of a question.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think is how relevant your course is in relation to one, what the UK is doing in your country. But I think they are pretty much funding every course now. I don't think that course, because someone was also telling me this yesterday that he has been applying for MPH, Masters in Public Health, and he hasn't been getting. But in my cohort, we have about 5 people now that are going for Masters. I didn't put Masters in Public Health because I wanted it to be something that has to do with policy. So I don't think the course determines whether you're going to be chosen. It's your ability to prove that this course is important to this field, and this is why you want to do this course, because you want to use it to help these people. This is your area of impact, and this is the course that will fit into it. And it will also be a bonus if the UK is doing something related to that in your country. Like UK is doing a lot of things in about health, related to health in Nigeria. So that's one thing I know. And then any course related to health at all will fly. So I really don't think that they will now decide to fund a particular course more than the other. I don't know if that answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Mr. Nnamdi, you had your hand up earlier. Please, do you have something you like to share to add to this demo?
Oh yeah, I wanted to just continue from where she stopped about the courses. So they can actually fund anything. I mean, I was surprised. I didn't also believe that I had to look for a way to make my course align with the law of what the UK was doing. Well, luckily for me, I did that. But when I got it and then saw the kind of courses that some other people were with, I think me and Ijeoma were in the same group, and she has already mentioned that there are so many people on that particular public health track. There's several other people on tracks that you won't even believe are possible to fund. Um, you won't believe that naturally somebody would fund those courses, but they are there. And I believe it's because um, yes, there's the case of what the UK is doing in your country, but there's also so much that your essay can do. There's so much that you can throw light on based on where you're coming from. That's what you've done and what you plan to do with the course you're going to study that will just make them pick specific interest in you. I think one of the questions I had to ask the interview panel during my interview was, okay, why don't you fund so many courses in energy? Why are you not? I looked through and not so many energy related scholars are there, and they were like, oh yes, it's true. We've not actually been funding so much here. I mean, in terms of the developments that they fund in Nigeria, it's mostly health related, environment related, sustainability related, and not much is done in energy. When I was doing that research, I found out and I had to ask them. And they had to tell me that, oh yes, we've actually not been doing so much in that area, but in the coming years, we plan to do this. So, I mean, you may just find out that it's an area they've not been looking at, but because of the case you have made, they will just start to give it some attention. So I would say nobody should feel like your course can't be funded. Anything is possible. So just make a good case. That's what I would say. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. So the next question was asked by Uzo, and he's saying, if there is a delay in Master in Engine transcript, but I have a photocopy of it, will the photocopied transcript be accepted? Dr. Ijeoma.
Okay. At this stage of the application, the transcript is not needed now. You would have to be shortlisted for the interview, and then they will now ask you to go and upload your transcript. But I'm not sure about this photocopied or no photocopy. I think transcript is transcript. Once it has the stamp of your school and it shows that it's authentic, you can upload the photocopied. Once it has a stamp and shows that it's actually from your school, you can. But if you can get a new one before you are shortlisted, I mean, you still have till next year, March. You can also try, so you don't lose chances. I don't like taking chances, actually. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ma. Mr. Nnamdi, is that the same thing as your view as well, sir?
Yes,
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right, so please, this next question, please, is for you. No publications, no IELTS or GRE, but I have offered some online courses related to my field. Can I win this scholarship?
Okay, it's a capital letter YES. Yes, you can. I have no publications. I've not written IELTS before. I've not written GRE before or any other, not even GMAT. The most important thing I think for the Chevening committee is your leadership potential and the ability to show that you've done something in the past and you want to do something with the new knowledge. You're development oriented and you can show it. You have the good networks and we can show it. So that's what's most important. I mean, I think that's why I really, really like the Chevening Scholarship. It allows people who, there's no bias as to first class or any class. You just have to come with your A game. If you've done anything as little as, I mean, as little as being being the leader on a WhatsApp group, if you can put it out such that they see the impact your leadership has brought about in leading that WhatsApp group, I mean, you can fly. You can fly. Raising money on a WhatsApp group is a big deal. I have several WhatsApp groups where I've had to raise money, and I can tell you that it's not a small feat, right? So raising money on WhatsApp group for a good cause can be highlighted on top on your leadership essay, and you'd fly. So don't get intimidated when you see people who have maybe 7 publications, they've written IELTS, they've written all that. No, the room is open to everybody to come in and show what you can do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. This reminds me of a lady that just backed the Chevening Scholarship as well. I think she even has a 2-2, and then she got this Chevening and another scholarship to go with it. So hey, I think packaging and how you sell yourself out, leadership and what have you. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So, doctor, please, this next question is for you, ma. What if I already have an admission? Can I apply for the scholarship?
Yes, you can. You can. That's exactly what it's all about. You secure admission, you apply for scholarship. So if you've had admission from last year, you could defer. For instance, you don't get the scholarship this year, you could defer your admission from your school and speak to them that you were expecting a Chevening scholarship, but you didn't get it, that you would like to defer to your next year. Then you apply for Chevening again. So as soon as you get your Chevening, you can still use the same admission of last year to go this year. Okay.
Okay, yes, ma, thank you so much. This question is all about the essays. This person is asking, how do you write the essays? What style is recommended? Can you share your winning essays with us? Thank you. Doctor, please, you go first.
Is it me? Is it my turn? Okay. Okay, how do you write the essays?
Yeah, both of you
I think
actually, but you can go first, ma.
Okay, but I that was the first thing I highlighted when I came in. You use your STAR approach to write Chevening essays. And that was like the first thing, because I know that that's like the most important aspect of this whole application at this stage is those essays. You use your STAR approach, and I've talked about it before, the situation, task, and action and result approach. So for each example you give, for instance, for the leadership, have at least 3 to 4 examples that you would give. And remember, you have word limit of 500. So you don't want to be playing around, putting in redundant words. But first of all, as you're drafting your essay, you can just write it first before reducing the number of words. But give at least 3 to 4 examples. And each of those examples, you use the STAR approach to like break it down. So you want to talk about a particular example. What is the situation? What did you find out that made you I used my example before. I think we have a recording, it will be shared. But just remember that you will have to describe the situation, what happened, the task, why you had to do that, the task at hand, what was it that you wanted to do, and then the action you took, that's the A. What exactly did you now do? And then the result. You must always end with the result. You must always talk about, so what now happened at the end of the day, with those 3 examples for each of those essays. I think that describes it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Mr. Nnamdi, please, can you add more to this, sir?
All right, so when it comes to the essays, I think the most important ingredient is passion. You can't fake passion, and if you write without it, it will be very, very obvious. You have to write these essays with the passion of what you want to do, personalize it, make it as convincing to yourself first as possible before you now try to convince another person. So like I said earlier, it's not a Japa route. If you're planning to Japa, your interests will be diversified, will be diverse. So you should first of all ask yourself, how can I bring about this development in this country? When you have that as your main motive, you'll find out that a lot will flow, even as you're trying to tell the stories using the style approach that Ijeoma has just mentioned. That's basically the style that you would require. And she also said something about sharing stories. You don't want to share more than 4, like she mentioned. You don't also want to share less than 3. So 3 is ideal because of your word limit. And you find out that in the beginning, you would have so much to say. My advice would be write out everything. Write everything as it comes to your mind. In fact, what I even did was I used a word to text translator on a Microsoft Doc online. And as I'm just talking into my system, it's transcribing everything for me. And then I was doing it like I was telling somebody these stories. So I transcribed everything. It was very long. And then I had to start editing, cutting down, removing irrelevant parts until I got to the word limit. And you can also share your essays with people who would help you proofread and all that, which is a very important part. So yeah, that's about it. The style recommended is a style approach. You use it for every essay to apply for scholarships. And about sharing the winning essays, we had a very extensive discussion on a group this morning, so I'll reserve my comments on that. All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you so much, sir. STAR approach acronym is S for situation, T for the task, and then the A is for action, and then the R is for the result. So the STAR approach. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. So the next question is someone is asking, he's a COP member. Please, I'm a serving COP member. I haven't worked before. Does that mean I can't apply for the scholarship? Does that mean I can't apply for the scholarship? So that's the question. He's a serving COP member. Mr. Nnamdi, please, what's your take on that, sir? Mr. Nnamdi, please, are you there? Are you there, sir?
I think.
Okay. All right.
I'm here, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
please, a COP member is asking, he's currently serving. So he wants to know if he can, and he has not worked, there's no working experience. So can he go ahead and apply for the scholarship?
Okay, so here it becomes a bit challenging, but what I can say is if you have internship experience, if you have volunteer experience as well, and you sum them up, if it's up to 2 years, then you can go ahead and apply. Remember, I said it's a leadership-oriented essay. So if you have enough experience that can show your leadership as a core member, why not? Let me also mention here that most of the stories I told, especially in my leadership essays, were from things I did while in the university. I graduated over 6 years ago. But I still had those experiences doing very well for me, both during my university days and my service days. Those were the things that fleshed up my networking and leadership essay. So you can apply if you can meet that work experience quota. But if you can't, then maybe you just give yourself 1 or 2 years to prepare and then come back for it. It's always there for you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So to the next question. Since the scholarship is a year scholarship and my master's is a 2-year course, what will I do, please? Dr. Ijeoma, please, are you there, ma?
Yes, I am. Oh, this particular question is not for Chevening now, because for Chevening, you must apply for courses that you will do for 1 year. Chevening cannot fund 2 years masters. And most master's programs in the UK is usually 1 year. So is this relating to the first question about securing admission first? I don't know, but if it's that same admission that we're talking about, that means it will not fly for Chevening. You would have to apply for a master's course that is going to be 1 year, because that's the one that they will fund.
All right, ma. So this is onto a responsibility question. How do I highlight my responsibility under the work experience part? Mr. Nnamdi, please, are you there, sir?
All right. I don't think the Chevening application asks you a lot about what your responsibility was and the work experience. It doesn't really make much impact in your applications. They just calculate the number of hours and try to see if it's up to the required. So for your responsibility, normally when I do CVs and all that, I try to make it in a active form. So you want to put it in the first person, say, I do this, I do that. I was able to bring about this, I was able to achieve that. You should see how, you should demonstrate how useful what you do on a daily basis is to the entire department or the entire organization. That's how you should highlight those responsibilities, but don't bother yourself so much about the work experience part. Your essays is enough work for you to put your time and energy into. Yeah, thank you.
All right, ma. Apparently, we have so many questions, so we really have to move faster than we can. I don't have a passport yet. Can I still go ahead and apply? Dr. Ijeoma, please, what do you think?
Can I remember? I think you should have a passport first, though. Hussein, can I had my passport before I started my application, but I think, yes, I think you would have to, there's a site, a place where you would have to fill in your passport details. I think is the key document. Yeah. Nnamdi.
Yeah, Nnamdi, is it the same
correct.
thing as your thoughts too?
Yeah, so your passport is very important, and I think thank God the scholarship is open for about 3 months, August, September, October. You have 3 months, so you can get your passport done within a month plus. So you need a passport to apply, and it's very important. So I think I've had my passport even expires this year, and I had to renew it to go in September. So you need to have a passport. I think passport by now should be one very important document for every Nigerian. So that any day they say pack your load, you pack and then you get on a plane. So please go ahead and then do a passport, please.
All right, thank you so much. So apparently, passport is one of the key materials that are needed. So please.
Please, can I chip in?
Okay, ma, please go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just got one of us just sent to my WhatsApp now that he actually got shortlisted before he applied for his passport. So apparently, I think you can go ahead to apply. He got his passport in February after he has been shortlisted for the interview. So you could actually apply without the passport details. I think for this first stage is those essays are the main thing. Once your essay, the essays are what will determine if you're going to cross to the next stage. They will give you opportunity to start uploading things on the site as soon as they shortlist you for the interview. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Please, can someone use one experience to write 2 essays, for example, leadership and networking? Dr. IJ.
Well, I would say yes, because somehow the essays are going to kind of, intertwine with each other. If you're talking about your leadership essay, it's not necessary, you will not have to get a completely new example in the networking. You could actually have a way of making it flow. For instance, when I talked about the outreach in my leadership essay, I talked about my position, how I was the one that mobilized people and we had this outreach done. And then when I got to the networking part, I brought in the fact that I started building my professional network, which I knew was going to help me during that outreach. So it's just a way of bringing in the networking aspect of that, your leadership example. It's not necessarily the same example. I don't know how to explain this, but it's something that should be related. Okay, so it's possible, it depends on how you're able to marry them together. You could actually cite it and it will flow. Oh, this is what she has said in the leadership essay. Okay, so this was how she did it, okay, I think it can flow. But don't try to use the same thing and make it so obvious. You know, the question prompt in one of the questions will tell you, please try to supply, I don't know if I can see that question, that said, please try to supply a different example. I think it's one that has to do with why you have chosen your UK courses. I know the question said that please try to give a different example from what you have given before in your education section of this form. I can't remember, but I know that's part of. So you don't want to be repeating the same thing. It's just having a way to marry it together. I don't know if it's answering, but that's just what I'm trying to say. Just have a way of marrying the examples together. Don't repeat the same thing. You can just bring in, for example, the way I've said it, that for that outreach, I did it. That is my leadership example. Then when I came to networking, I talked about how I was able to leverage on my professional network to do that outreach. So it's still the same story, but from a different light now. Thank you.
All right, ma. Thank you so much, ma. So please, the meeting will be ending in the next 10 minutes. So we really have to hurry. The next question says, I learned we do not need a transcript for this initial part of the application. Please, how true is that? Thank you. I think that has been said already. Yes, ma'am. Please just briefly.
Yes, it's been answered, yes.
Okay, yes. All right. My question to that's Dr. Ijeoma is if I mistakenly hit the submit button, is that single error considered a multiple submission? Says Akune. That's the name is Akune. Yes, ma'am. Doctor, this person is asking, yeah.
If you mistakenly hit the submit button, you've submitted the application. You've submitted the application. You may have to start a new application. And I don't know if it's going to work because it depends on the level where you are before you submitted. If you had to put in your full name, all those credentials that you don't share with anybody, I'm not sure it's going to be possible for you to start a brand new application. That is why, that was the first thing I pointed out. When you're on the website, be careful. Let your hand not go and touch. Even withdraw. Some people who clicked on withdraw after they have been shortlisted for the interview. You know, you keep refreshing the page, trying to see if there's any update on your portal, and your hand can just draw it. So for this submit now, it's either you start a brand new application, which I don't know. I don't really know if it's going to appear as multiple.
All right, so guys, let's just be extremely careful. So Mr. Nnamdi, you raise up your hand.
Husseina, I would think that the site should be built with some level of security. Some application portals, if you click the submit, there will be like a warning. Do you really want to submit? So do we have that type of warning for Chevening? Then that will not be a problem. You cannot make a mistake and there's a warning and you click yes. So that will not, like if there's that warning, then you are protected from that, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So if you click, you would see the warning and you still go ahead to click yes. I think that's why they are really very strict on it. So people don't get to submit 2 applications. So you just have to be careful.
All right. So please, do you think having unconditional offers before the essays have been checked gives the candidate a competitive edge? That is, do you think having unconditional offers before the essays have been checked gives the candidate a competitive edge?
Nnamdi, is it for me?
Yeah, you can go ahead, ma.
Okay. Personally, I don't think it gives any edge because after you've been shortlisted, they will ask everybody to submit your offers unconditional, and they would even give you till it's not June, I mean July 14th to submit your unconditional offer. I don't think it gives it may give you an edge if you're going for the interview with an unconditional offer, I think. But for this essay level, I don't think. Yeah.
All right, ma. So, Mr. Nnamdi, can I use a deferred offer letter for the Chevening Scholarship?
Yeah, I think Dr. Jamal already said that earlier. Yes,
said that earlier. Exactly.
Once you've deferred, you have an offer, it's good. You can go
All
ahead.
right, then is it only the Chevening partner schools we are to apply to? Yes, I think that has been answered before as well.
Yes.
Those are the schools you have to apply to. Why do Cheveners emphasize so much on essays being concurrent? Doctor.
Your story has to rhyme now. You cannot
It has to follow. It has to flow through. Yes.
follow. Yeah. So if the 4 essays are the same thing. It's the same story that you have been trying to talk about from different lights. You've talked about that same story as in the leadership essay. You know, you're bringing it in again in your networking, and that is the same story why you have to apply to the UK, because this is where the course is done best. It's the same story that will make you to know that this is what you're going to do in your post-study plan. So it has to come, it has to be the same thing. That's why I said you should have an introspection about what exactly your area of impact is. It will help you a lot. It will help you a lot because I already know that I'm maternal and child health. Yeah, so everything about women, you know. So whatever I'm writing, I will always bring in how will this help women? You know, you just have that niche for yourself. That's why I call it, like, carve out a niche of don't let it not be too broad so that you can be able to, you know, hammer it very well when you're writing those essays. Just have that niche and then make sure that your story flows. The 4 essays are supposed to flow actually.
All right, this person is saying, I will appreciate a step-by-step procedure of application for this Chevening Scholarship. Thanks. Please, a brief summary, although this has already been said earlier, you know, the reason why the course you want to go in for, and then check into schools, 3 schools that offers this course or a similar course. So it has been answered, please. So you have to, the link to the video will be shared, so you can check it out on the YouTube. Thank you so much, so that we can hurry. Could you mind to speak briefly about the leadership, and is there any scholarships that could help to achieve it? Doctor, please just briefly, ma.
About the leadership, and is there?
Yes, ma.
I'm trying
And is
to
there any
understand the question
scholarships?
that
I'm
could
not
help to
certain.
achieve the leadership.
Is it to achieve the leadership?
Chevening is all about leadership. Yeah, I wanted to mention, yes, that different scholarships, they all have different things that they are looking out for. You know, when I applied to so many other scholarships, Commonwealth, Erasmus. Erasmus is looking at, it's actually Erasmus that is looking at your publication, your research. So when you're writing about your Erasmus, you're talking about how you've done this research, how you've published this paper. But Chevening, you're going to be talking about your community impact, how you've done this for the community, what the impact is, how you've helped people. So there are 2 different things. So for the leadership, I don't know if you mean building leader. In fact, I'm thrown off by this question. But just so that whatever example you are giving for your Chevening is centered around what you've done to help people, community engagement, more like it.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. Is it true that there is a waiver for test of English language requirement for this cohort? Please, could you list some universities that don't require the above? Please, I think the Google is our friend on this. Could we could research on these schools? Yes, that don't require this kind of the English test as stated. Please kindly share award-winning essay with us. Can someone be offered for master degree when he already has PhD, and should it be indicated? Thanks. Okay, this person apparently has a PhD, so can he still go forth to apply for this Chevening since it's for master's scholarship? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, he can. If he's applying for a master's degree, Chevening, okay, for Chevening, if you're applying for master's, you can. But
I think that's based on choice.
Yes, you having a PhD will not boost your mark, or it will not make you to be chosen. No. In fact, it's even better you hide that your PhD and just apply for the master's plain.
Okay. So he's not supposed to add extra mark, maybe just by that addition of PhD, if it's indicated.
No.
Okay. All right. So good evening. Please, what options is available for veterinary professionals going for MSc? Also, how can we go through the process? Sorry, I joined in late. Please, this has been answered also, the video, and then I think she said something about reading through the website. So all the courses that are available there are listed. Then you choose the one that best suits, you know, the course that you studied so far. Like in this case of veterinary professionals. Then if I have a copy of my transcript, is it tenable? I think the transcript is not needed right now. That was what she said earlier. Well, if it's needed, she said if there is a stamp of the school and it shows that it's original, why not?
Okay.
Then can I, okay, yes, sir.
Okay,
Prof, please go ahead.
Husseina, thank you very much for moderating this session, Husseina. And thank you very much, Ijeoma Omenugha and Nnamdi Orji, for facilitating this section, for providing all those great tips and answering the questions. So we want to stop it here because I think we begged our speakers that we're going to stay like 1 hour, and now we are more than 1 hour. So just to respect their time, we will share the video like we said on our YouTube channel, which I've shared the link already. Thank you to all our volunteers at Academic Mentorship Cafe, and thank you to all the attendees. Thank you very much, and I think I wish you the best. We're going to stop this section now. So that's all. If you like what the speakers have said, you can give them a thumbs up. You can give them, just use the thumbs up. Use anything on the social platform there and give them a like. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.